Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second podcast for 2023. My name is Evan. I am one of your student experience ambassadors, and I'm joined by my wonderful team of ambassadors, and I'm going to let them all introduce themselves before we get into our today's topic. Karimah,
Hi
please
everyone,
introduce yourself.
my name is Karimah. I'm a member of the Student Experience Ambassador, as Evans mentioned. I'm also the Vice President of the Online SRC, and I'm currently studying my Master's in Special Education.
Thanks, Karimah. Thank you for coming, and lovely Chloe. Always good to see you, Chloe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. My name's Chloe, and also a Student Experience Ambassador and an SRC member in Surry Hills campus in Sydney, and I'm studying a Bachelor of Health Science Clinical Nutrition.
Thanks, Chloe. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Jess, lovely Jess.
Hello.
How are you, Jess?
I'm good. As Evan said, my name is Jess. I am also a Student Experience Ambassador with Chloe. It's the Surry Hills campus in Sydney. And I'm also the interim president of the Student Representative Council there, with Chloe as my interim vice president as well. And I'm also studying
You two
a
go.
bachelor. Yes. And I'm also studying a bachelor of business marketing as well.
Thanks for coming, Jess. Thank you very much. And who can forget, lucky last, a stalwart of the Student Experience Ambassador team. And quite frankly, Jen, I've got to say, part of the furniture almost of Torrens University. Jen, welcome, Jen.
Furniture.
Not sure how I should take that as either a compliment or maybe backhanded.
It's not backhanded at all. It's absolutely a compliment. You're part of the fixtures and fittings of the campuses. Everyone knows you, and we love the work that you do. Thank you, Jen, for coming. And my name's Evan, of course. I'm the president of the SRC in Adelaide, and I'm doing my MBA this year, which is great. So, look, guys, today's topic is all about student happiness. So you might be thinking, what is student happiness? So what is it that makes us as students happy? What can we do to make us happier? How do we find that fine line between study and work and professional and personal and get everything together so that we wake up in the morning feeling really good about ourselves, about our direction in life, about our study, if we can feel positive about study, and maybe hear from our ambassador team today to see what they do, what happiness means to them, and also what tips and tricks and strategies that some of these lovely people have for succeeding in your personal life and in your academic life. So we're going to start with Karimah, but before we do, we have a competition running. So when you read the Student Voice newsletter, which I'm sure all of you have read from top to bottom, there are 6 questions that will be asked today, and you need to write down the answers, because the people that come up with any 3 of the 6 questions will win a wonderful Torrens branded hoodie, which I was hoping one of our members was going to wear today. There we go. Thank you, Chloe.
I'm also wearing
Jess, as modelled by the lovely Jess and sort of modelled by Chloe.
So it was too hot out to take it off.
They are very warm. So coming up for winter, this is possibly the perfect time to win a Torrens hoodie valued at $80 or something. So that's great. So Karimah, I'm going to start with you. First of all, Karimah, when I talk about student happiness, what does it mean to you personally?
Well, I mean, when we're talking about happiness, we generally characterize it by like positive emotions, a sense of fulfillment, general satisfaction with your life, right? But I feel, end of the day, student happiness is subjective because it might be different to one person, to another person, and so on. So for example, for myself, student happiness to me is being able to share my experiences with other people. Whereas for someone else, student happiness might literally mean doing something they like on their own. It differs, right? So I think it's very subjective. It is very complicated and complex. And it comes down to the person, what makes them happy.
So Karimah, what makes you happy? Tell us, please.
Sharing my experiences with other people. So I'm one of those people who don't like to do things alone. And I love always being with someone. It could be something really simple, like doing my groceries, I always prefer doing my groceries with my boyfriend rather than by myself. It's like I can do it, but
Really?
I like
I
doing things with other people. It doesn't even have to be, oh, we're going hiking or we're climbing a mountain, all these big things. It could literally be, those simple day-to-day things,
yeah.
but just being able to be in the same company as someone else just makes me happy.
I love doing things with other people, but grocery shopping for me is a very intensely personal experience, right? I don't know. And that sounds weird, right? Because my partner hates grocery shopping.
Oh,
I can go to a supermarket and spend an hour easily. Like I go up and down the aisles and I look at, wow, and I get very creative and start thinking. My partner's like, hurry up, 1 lettuce, 1 cucumber, let's go. I'm like, no, I can't do that.
I'm the
So
same as you, Evan. My partner, when I'm reading the labels, he's like, oh no.
Just buy it already. Just buy it. I'm like, no.
It's a day trip.
Yeah. I'm studying nutrition. Like it's normal for me to want to read the labels.
Yeah. But in your boyfriend's defense, Chloe, you're a great person, but it could be quite nasty going shopping with someone who's done new nutrition, because they can either be very, very fastidious, right? To the point where it's just like, oh, look, this is MSG 36.4, we can't get that one, or preservative number 261 or something, I can't get that. But in a way, at least you're always going to be healthy.
It's actually really easy because I just skip about 5 different aisles and just go to fresh produce.
Of course. Very good. So, Karimah, tell us, when you say your student happiness, you like sharing the experience of other people, how does that make you feel? Right. So how has that maybe impacted you in a positive way? And how have you taken that positive feeling into your personal life and into your day?
Well, for me, when I'm feeling happy, it just gives me motivation to do everything, right? So it could be translated into motivation to doing your uni work. So, when I've got assignments and I'm feeling in a good mood, I can actually sit down, do my work, actually write and get everything done. Whereas if I'm not feeling in a great mood, I'm not feeling that happy, sometimes it could literally be a chore to actually get started. I've got all my notes in front of me. I have everything that, I need to write my assignment, and I just can't do it because I just don't have that motivation. And I think it comes down to even engagement, right? Like even just joining your lectures. If you're not feeling happy and in a good mood, you just don't really want to actively participate. Whereas if you are, you're like, oh, I actually want to chat to people. I actually want to share my ideas. And the same goes with socializing, right? Like when you're in a good mood, you want to chat to your friends. You want to share everything that's been going on with your life. Sure. And, what something funny happened and you want to tell people about it. Whereas when you're not feeling that great, it can be a little bit draining, I feel.
So when you are feeling like that, when you are feeling a bit flat, what do you do to pick yourself up and make yourself feel a bit happy? Is it just a matter of doing something with someone?
I think
like
that
ringing
helps.
a friend and going, let's have a coffee, or just to break you out of that cycle?
I think that definitely helps. Again, it sounds really simple. Like it could actually be a phone call, but that one great phone call, maybe you haven't spoken to this friend in a long time and you have a really good catch up, is an hour-long call. You just feel really good after that. Another thing I do is also exercise. So I'm really into kickboxing, and just being able to like sweat. Yeah, I love like sweating. I know it's really gross. A lot of people don't like sweat. But I actually love the feeling of sweating like bucket loads. And I just feel like, oh, wow, I did an awesome workout. I just feel so good and like ready to do, whatever after that. I just feel good about myself,
Feel like replenished, refreshed.
Yeah.
I would want to run home and have a shower straight away. I couldn't.
I definitely do take showers afterwards, but it just feels good when you've sweated that. Like you've put in the effort and, that was all you that made you sweat that much.
Definitely. How about you, Jess?
Because I don't have a partner at the moment, but I've been studying at Torrens for like a good nearly 5 years. And it's only until like this year that I'm glad to say that I have like a university bestie, which is great because we're not even like in the same vertical or anything like that, but it's just someone that like, okay, let's go to the arcade, let's go karaoke. And even then, like when we're feeling low and like on motivation and stuff. We just call each other on Discord and just keep each other accountable. Like he does his own like thing in culinary, and I do my own thing in marketing. So I guess you put your energy into someone, and then you get the same back. It feels really fulfilling and rewarding for sure.
Definitely. Chloe, I've got to ask you quickly, what food do you love to cook?
Well, thanks for asking.
Very random question, wasn't it?
Totally unplanned.
This might or might not be part of the competition, everyone. Very random. Sorry, Karimah.
So I've got an obsession at the moment.
Write it down, everyone. Write it down.
And actually it's really simple, but I love it because I can have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. And it's just satisfying.
Don't keep us in suspense.
It's an omelette with cheese on fresh sourdough bread.
Ooh.
Very simple, but nice.
It's so simple. You can make it straight away. There's always eggs in the fridge, and it's just like my go-to. I don't know what to make. What can I make? Oh, yes, an omelette with cheese.
And that makes you happy.
It doesn't
what cheese
disappoint.
Do you use, Chloe?
I'll use Italian Parmesan cheese.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just going to start whipping out some omelettes soon.
Yeah. Welcome to the kitchen spot with the Student Experience Ambassadors. I think our next podcast will be cooking. We'll be cooking live for you. So send your recipes through to us or any requests that you have. And Chloe, I think next podcast, Chloe, you're cooking in your kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to see you make an omelette.
All right.
So, Chloe, when we talk about happiness, I know that Karimah said that for her it's about socializing and about being with other people, and that certainly makes her happy. What does it mean to you? What makes you happy?
Oh, happiness to me is actually very similar to Karimah. I also love sharing moments and experiences with people. I'm definitely naturally an extrovert, but obviously with COVID happening, that was really difficult with that time. And I noticed how much happiness I had with seeing people at uni, saying hello to people, being around, even saying hello to the bus driver. Thank you for my ride today. Like just that, just little things like that. That they make me happy, being out and about and having new experiences and having people around me as well. I'm very similar in that sense.
Do you think going through COVID, and maybe this is for all of us to answer, do you think maybe going through COVID has taught us the importance of happiness and maybe has realigned ourselves with how important happiness is and how much we should value being happy in our lives?
For me, it has definitely. And connection, for me, it's like having that human interaction, how much that I didn't realize how much the simple things made me happy. Yeah.
Jin, how about you? I know you study online. So for you, it can be, maybe there are times when you do feel a bit more secluded, right? Because you haven't got, a physical campus that you go to every day or So how about you? How do you feel about that?
I understand. So I'm quite introverted. So for me, I do like my for me going out or being sociable is sort of in small doses. I get overwhelmed if there's too many people, but I can handle. But I'm also, it depends on the circumstances as well. If I know the crowd I'm in, I'm happy. Yeah. But so I guess so one of the things I took a different approach when COVID happened because I was fairly insular beforehand anyway. So I already had sort of those existing connections because I was already communicating online through various, whether through gaming, for example, which is one area which I've got connections with, or through networks that I've already set up because I've always been either working remotely or studying remotely. So I already had those connections set up. So I think a key component that probably I didn't suffer as much in COVID because for me I was already isolated in some ways. So I think there's an important message here about keeping connections, and that it really doesn't really matter what level you keep connections with. You don't necessarily have to be in someone's pocket every day. You don't have to be like calling them every sort of second day and things like that. It might just be a message every couple of days just to check in and things like that. But I think that's an important key aspect of happiness, is to keep your connections and actually make your connections worthwhile as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
So I have people that I'm acquaintances with that.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily my close friends, for example. And I know that I think I could say that I count my closest friends to maybe half a dozen people, but I know that I can always reach out to them. And I think that's the key thing about happiness, is just to keep those networks and keep that communication channel open.
That's really good advice. Really good advice. Thanks.
I
Chloe,
think it's
yeah, no, sorry, Karimah,
sorry,
please.
Evan. I think as
No,
well,
no, don't
just
be sorry.
talking about COVID, it really put a pause, right, to our fast-paced world, because everything you can get at a click of a button nowadays. And I just felt with COVID, everything was kind of a little bit like a standstill, and it really gave people time to kind of reflect, practice mindfulness, practice gratitude, which I feel we kind of need more nowadays, and that people are doing less of, actually. So in a way, yes, it was isolating, and a lot of people did suffer during COVID and everything. But in a way, I feel like it also helped to catalyze, awareness on mental health, and, practices and strategies people could use to help their mental health and be and feel happier as well.
Yeah. It's odd, isn't it, how something so serious and something so tragic in many ways has really brought us closer together and has made us realize how important those little small things are, the things that we sometimes take for granted. Because I think you're right. I think leading into COVID, I think there were times when I would look at my friends, or look at my friendship group, or even around me, and say, I think I don't want to sound like a, no comments, please, everyone, like a wise old man, but you get some. Sometimes I would think to myself, the world is getting a bit lost. Like we're losing touch with each other. We're obsessed with our devices. We're so connected that we've become disconnected, right? If that makes sense. So it took something like that for us to really take stock, and something that it's always been there, togetherness, interaction, and connection, and have that taken away, ripped away from us, literally, right? And if we're in Victoria for almost a year, to make us realize that this is actually a really important thing. And it really is a central part of what keeps us happy as people. That connection, as Jin said, right? Whether that's a big connection of lots of people around you, or whether you're a more insular person and only like to have a couple of close people around you, however that connection is, it's up to you. Once we have that connection, how much happier we are. And so that was really good. Chloe, when we talk about happiness as a student, right? What can we as students do maybe to be more connected with each other and maybe be happy?
Well, that's easy, making those connections. Students on campus are slightly more advantaged in that sense, because you can just naturally meet people. Like, it's amazing how many people I meet making a cup of tea on campus, because I don't know how it is at your campus, but at Surry Hills, we've got an integrated kitchen that's mixed with staff and students. And making a tea is just the social pinnacle of the day. And you meet someone there that's also making a tea or hitting their lunch up, and what are you studying? Oh, you're a lecturer. Oh, what do you, and it's just having those chats. And then from that day on, you see them around campus. Hey, how are you? How's it going? And it's just those simple things. But of course we have things on campus, especially for those interactions and connections. So at Surry Hills, we sometimes do barbecues, or we sometimes have a game afternoon, and we facilitate that space for students to deliberately connect, and it's just for students. And so I would suggest any of the students that are feeling a little bit isolated or lost or wanting to make new friends to participate in those activities. And I participated because I also work and I don't always get to participate in all the activities, but I did the games afternoon with Jess and we danced. We did the dancing, what was it? What's the name of it,
Just
Jess?
Dance. Just Dance.
Yeah. And some other students participated and we were dancing for hours. Like it was just so much fun, and we saw all the other students around interacting, and it was just like just being with other students in that environment. We just all had so much fun.
Yeah, I think like the great thing about that event was, well, because even though for us it was a last minute event, it naturally coincided with on a Friday, like after the Blue Mountains just had their quiz and stuff, and then they come out and just have a games afternoon, which, Chloe, we really need to bring back those videos. It still hasn't been released to the public yet.
Oh no, we recorded ourselves dancing.
We did. It's like there's a point where like I think it was me, Chloe, and I think one of your friends, Chloe, and I think we were all like in a snake and we were like, whoa, like
it was so fun.
Stay tuned for the podcast after the cooking podcast. It will be a dance-off between Jess and Chloe. Jen and Karimah and I we can judge.
No,
unless of course Jen, you want to get up and dance as well. It's totally up to you. No?
Not my thing.
But I do want to know, Jen, what is your favourite type of music?
Well, it really depends on my mood. I'm sort of...
Come on, Jen, give us an answer.
If I was going to go... I was just thinking, when I say things like old school, I'm talking about old school jazz, old school swing, and sort of, I'm
Gee,
sort of, yeah.
You're talking my language.
Well, I was going to comment on that, but I'll leave that one alone. I think for me, for me, it's just something that I can relax to. So it might be something simple as Frank Sinatra. Okay. Many may not know who Frank Sinatra is, but it's just a nice favourite just to relax to. Yeah, just something nice to relax to. It's just it clears my mind the opportunity just to rest.
Jen, we need to exchange playlists. I've got some great big band playlists, some very rare big band playlists. I've got like gramophones at home with 78 records, and I record onto like stereos. And so I love big band music. So there we go. I've learned something new about you, Jen.
Yes. So for anyone wondering, a record is what we had before tapes. And
a record player is what I grew up with.
Oh no.
Look at Jess. Jess is like, I don't know what that is.
Well, it's considered
piece of plastic with a needle.
Days, so.
Yeah, I know. No one would know what that is. Jess, speaking of you, I want to know what makes you happy.
What makes me happy? I guess it's I think jumping from Karimah had said earlier, it's a balance of between things I like to do by myself and things I want to do with others. I know for me, especially for my birthdays, I've always basically my goal every birthday is to do something very something I've never done before. I've always aimed to do that on my birthday. And
good segue.
Which honestly I think it's for me, I'm an introvert, so for me, I really need to do stuff by myself at home just to recharge before going out again and being like the, hey, how are you? And then all I guess my president stuff and everything. So yeah, it's definitely finding that balance in between I guess human connections and also connecting with yourself as well. I think for me, especially these days,
Definitely.
it's just having that space as well to be able to reflect on everything and be able to do your thing. So, yeah.
Great segue into the next question, Jess, which is another question for our competition. Speaking of birthdays, what amazing thing, death-defying feat did you accomplish for your 21st birthday?
I went skydiving over in Wollongong, which is a bit of a wink for our students at Surry Hills for our first event for next trimester. So stay tuned, but we're keen as a bean for it. So yes,
Surry Hills students, stay tuned. Wollongong, that's great. Go down to the Gong.
Yeah, but then literally skydiving is is so great because I think they record you from the beginning. You get on the plane, like all the way up to the top, and it's such a beautiful view of Wollongong and the beaches and everything. And then, oh, like when you fall, like your face is literally dragged back so much. Yeah. If like I have like my skydiving video on my Facebook and everything, and you just see like my face just going like that right on video.
Yeah,
No,
I want to watch
Chloe.
it now too.
Unfriend.
I'd love to go. I'd love to go. Unfriend. I'd love to go skydiving, but I think I would. I think I'd need to buy some brown underwear before I went skydiving. I'm absolutely petrified of heights. I'm petrified of heights. Like I can't look down. Yeah, I can't look. I get very.
Then you should wear a man nappy.
Or buy the brown jocks. Yep. Thank you. Before this podcast degenerates into a different conversation, Jess, what can so in terms of keeping students happy on campus, what can students do on campus maybe to aid their happiness, or what sort of clubs can they join, or maybe SRC? Tell us what students can do.
Yeah. So obviously SRC is just a great place, like not just for the people who attend the events and go to our trimester parties, barbecues, game afternoons, and day trips as well, but also for the people in it as well. I feel that a lot of the close friendships that I've made at university is from within the SRC. Like especially like with Chloe, and then with a few others met this year, and even my friends down in Melbourne and over with the OG, the Rocks campus as well. It's just like a great place to like not just make connections, but also to challenge yourself personally. And I feel it's such a great opportunity to just experiment with whatever events or social media initiatives that you have. And I feel like seeing that happen is something that will contribute to your student happiness, because it's just seeing like what you did come to life. Basically, it feels so accomplishing. At the same time, like I really take advantage of the counseling service that we have. Honestly, like without the counseling, especially in recent days when I need them, it's been such a great tool for me to just talk and just let out like my burdens out onto someone, and also try to like sift through that and try to organize it and plan strategies to fix with that. Success coaches have also been great, like especially in Sydney, the job market is just so competitive at the moment. But then having a recent appointment with Natalie down in Surry Hills, it's just she's been very great in terms of like, okay, you need to work on your resume, and these are the different jobs that we're going to try and work towards. So
that's great.
Yeah, there's so many different support services at Torrens University. And also another thing as well that I wanted to add as well is that we have so many benefits as well as a Torrens University student. Like we have like discounts with jet boating and movie tickets, gym memberships, and everything like that. So it's definitely great to have like a space like the student podcast, the student newsletter, and everything to even like share those and raise awareness about them, which obviously altogether can definitely increase student happiness for everybody, don't you think?
Yeah, of course. And look, guys, if you want any advice on some of the services that Jess has spoken about, just go to the Student Hub. On the right-hand side, you'll see services drop down. There's a couple of different choices. You can pick student wellbeing, you can pick student community, and you'll find out about the services like the Success Coach services and also the counselling service, which is now 24 hours at Torrens, which is really good, and some of the other services that you can access as a student, including those discounts that Jess was talking about as well. And so thanks a lot, Jess. I've got to ask though, Karimah, before we continue, someone told me that you have just recently started playing a game that you used to play maybe a while ago, maybe you left it on the side, and now you started playing. And please share with us what this game is.
So back in 2016, I'm pretty sure everyone had heard that Pokemon Go was all the rave, and that was the game to kind of download and check out. So I was one of those people, and it was a lot of fun. But obviously, after time passed, I kind of stopped for a while. But then recently, my housemate had downloaded it. And just out of curiosity, I was like, oh, I'm going to re-download it as well so we can kind of compare, Pokemon we got back in the day. And next thing you know, I've gotten back into it. I'm literally walking 25 km minimum every week to hatch my eggs to get more Pokemon. So in a way, it's good because it's facilitating that exercise on a regular basis. Funny enough, but yeah, it's great. It's fun as well because it's not as addictive as other games you could play, which is great for uni and balancing all that.
Now, of course, I need to ask you who your favorite Pokemon is.
Oh, I would say my favorite is Bidoof. It's not one that's as well known, but if you guys Google image it, it just looks really funny. It's like this sheep/beaver thing with buck teeth. It just looks hilarious, and you can change the names. I've changed the name to my sister's name and kind of screenshot that to
I've not heard of Bidoof. I like Bulbasaur. One of the original ones. I love Bulbasaur. He's short and little green little thing. It's very, very cute. I used to play Pokemon Go back in the day as well, but I found it was ridiculous. Right? I found myself at 3 a.m. sitting parked in my car with 3 of my friends just waiting. I'm like, what do you have? The pigeon again? The pigeon will go away. Wait for the fish. I got a fish. Is it Magikarp?
Magikarp, yeah.
Oh, there's fishes everywhere. It was crazy. Thank you very much, Karimah. So, Jen, I'd like to ask you, we talk about the student voice and student community a lot, and I know that you are very passionate about the student voice. What is the student voice? What does it mean?
I think it's really important for ourselves to really get involved in the whole process and the journey of actually being here at university, and it's more than about just coming along for the ride. Well, we can all just be here for study, and that's fine. Some people just want to get their go to class, get their piece of paper at the end and leave. But I think it's really important to engage and be part of the process and to make the journey better, not just for yourself, but also for those coming after you as well. So I think what I try to do in my involvement and all of us here is actually we can only make things better at the university if we actually have our say. Be involved in the process, whether that be at an SRC level, joining your local SRC and actually getting involved, asking those tough questions where we have to ask those tough questions to get those results, but also making sure that it's a respectful debate between us and the university. It's not just one side shouting at the other. What we really have to do, it is a two-way street. It's about having that balance there, but also seeing what we can do together to make it not only our own experience better, but also those who come after us.
So, besides joining the SRC, what can students do you think? Is there anything that we can do at a class level, maybe, to give us a stronger voice? Have you any tips for any of the students maybe to become more engaged in their class?
Yeah, I think that's one of the, I know personally as an online student, one of the hardest things that lecturers find is they don't get engagement from students. Whether that be not turning on their camera, that's fine if you're shy and bits and pieces, but if they're just having to talk to a blank screen with no interaction, they don't know whether they're engaging enough in their content, and but also it's like you'd really be hard pressed to sit in a lecture theatre, in an empty lecture theatre, and to do a presentation if there's no engagement. So I guess the first thing I'd say, get engaged, get involved, and always and participate as much as possible.
And I think, we've all been there. How frustrating is it? I don't know about you guys, right? But as a student, how frustrating is it sitting in a classroom where no one talks and the lecturer is like, anyone, hello, and there's no one talking, and you think, oh wow, it can. You really feel for lecturers sometimes because here we are talking about connection and being with people, and you can imagine if a lecturer has 50 blank squares in front of them. and they're asking a question, like, even like, I had a lecturer once who's like, how's your day, everyone? And there'll be no response. He's like, okay, so you've all had a great day. All right, so what's your favorite food, Evan? And then, well, not Evan, because I would answer, but, someone else, and there'd be no answer. And like, this poor lecturer would be like, okay, so I'll just sit here and talk to myself. So it was sort of funny, but also sad. And I think it brings you back to what Karimah said earlier, right? Where Karimah said it's important to be engaged, that when you are engaged in class, you tend to learn better. And I think for me, when you interact with your lecturer and you start asking questions, or whether it's if you're in a breakout room and you start talking to your little group, or you have a study group of students before you actually go to class or after class, when you do that, I think you naturally tend to learn better. It just becomes a bit easier for me if I'm a bit more interactive in class.
I think another way that you can support engagement in your classes is to actually encourage your student peers. If you can see that they're feeling a little bit insecure or shy or, lack confidence, give them that boost, support them, help them, give them the reassurance that it's a safe space to make mistakes. And, we're here to all learn, and we can actually learn off each other. So I experienced that in one of my subjects last trimester, and just by boosting my student peers, and it's just like it worked. We all started feeding off each other.
Yeah.
And it was so nice, and the engagement increased like more than 80% for the rest of the trimester, just by that initial, I want to support my student peers for success just as much as my own success. So
yeah, no, I love it. That's very true. And you do, for me, when you get that interaction in class, you start seeing ideas flow and people start expressing their opinions and their thoughts. And then someone else might have, I might respond to that question. So then someone who might not have spoken for a long time might put on their microphone. And it's not about, putting on your camera. I get that a lot of people don't want to put on their camera, and that's fine. I don't think that really matters that much, but put your microphone on. And maybe do it in stages as well. Like I tell some students, if you're not confident asking a question straight away, then ask a question in the chat. That's better than nothing. At least you're starting off. But set yourself some goals and say, you know what, by week 4, I'm going to put my microphone on, or by week 5, I'm going to put my microphone on, or I'm going to speak to someone and help me out, buddy up with someone and maybe ask questions together. Whatever it is, you'll find that your engagement really is driven a lot better. Thanks a lot, Jen. Thank you very much for that sound advice. Look, guys, we're going to wrap it up very soon, but just quickly, by the way, my favorite dream job, and these questions seem very random at this about this delivery. My dream job is Prime Minister of Australia. How's that for a dream job? I've always wanted to be Prime Minister from a very, very young age.
I think we all can see that for sure.
Deadly serious.
It's very you.
10 years old. The teacher was like, what do you want to be? It's like fireman, policeman, Prime Minister. And I've always wanted to become Prime Minister. I don't think it's going to happen, but nevertheless. So you've got those clues, guys. There's 5. I'll give you 5. There should have been 6, but there's 5 throughout the podcast to hear. So just quickly, I'm going to recap. I'm going to make it a bit easier for you. It was Evan's dream job. It was Karimah's game. It was Chloe's favorite food to cook. It was Jin's not very specific, but nevertheless good answer on his favorite type of music. And it was what Jess did on her 21st birthday. What death-defying skydiving trick did Jess do on her 21st birthday? So if you can, the information will be in our Student Voice newsletter, which is coming out at the same time as this podcast. So look for it newsletter. There's instructions on how to enter. But before we continue, I just want to maybe have a chat about what makes me happy. So for me, I think we've summed it up as a group, right? I think for me, it's all about connection. I love being by myself, but I do crave being around other people. So for me, whether it's my partner or my family or some good close friends, I do value those times a lot. So when COVID hit, it hit me a little bit hard as well. But I do value that sense of connection. And for me, being president of the SRC is an amazing way of staying connected with people around me who I respect, who I love working with, who I care about. We've become like a little mini family. I know that you guys probably all feel the same way in your respective SRCs, that we do become a little community, a little family of students, and we look out for each other and we help each other out as much as we can. And that's one of the great things about being part of the SRC. And I think for those of you out there who are considering maybe joining your SRC, all the information for the SRC is on the Student Hub. So you can go to that Services tab, like I told you, scroll down, you'll see student representation there. There's all the information. You'll probably see our faces there as ambassadors. and also some information about how to join your SRC. But I think it's really important that, you do find that mix between study and work and personal. So, studying can be really difficult. And now this is week 9, week 10, by the time this podcast gets released, it's the business end of the trimester. This is when we get the, assessment 2, assessment 3, the ones that are worth, 40, 50% of our marks sometimes. And it can be really tricky to juggle our personal lives and our private lives and our work life. But it's really important to set yourself some very realistic goals. And I'm sure we all agree. Set yourself realistic goals. Don't set yourself ridiculous goals that you can't reach. Because if you set yourself goals that you can't reach and you don't reach them, then you'll be constantly disappointed and you won't want to set yourself goals anymore. So your goals can be something very short and simple. Like for me, if I'm studying, if I'm writing an assessment, my goal might be, I want to write 300 words in the next 3 hours. And if I do, then I'm going to reward myself with something very small. And I reward myself with something very small. It could be like a walk around the block. It could be to make like a cafe to get a coffee. I might go walk the dog for a little bit. But that for me is like a little incentive and it works for me. And I come back, I feel more refreshed. Okay, what's my next goal? My next goal is I'm going to finish reading this chapter before 8 o'clock tonight. So setting yourself small, realistic goals that you can meet is going to really improve your mental well-being, and it will make you study smarter and not longer necessarily. So break up your assessments and your study into little projects. And that's certainly what I do. So treat everything like a little mini project, a beginning and an end, and set yourself some goals. And I think it's really important as we get into this sort of, business end of the trimester, that we really make sure that we are happy, that we do everything in our power to stay happy, and reach out to any of our support services at Torrens for any extra support that you might need as a student. And of course, reach out to all your SRCs. We have 3 SRC presidents amongst the 5 of us, and 2 vice presidents. So you really are, everyone, in very, very good company. So we all really would love to see you at our next meetings and events on campus or on online events. If you're part of the online SRC, we would love to see you join. Guys, it's been great today. Thank you very much. We've had a wonderful time.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, Karimah, for coming. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Jen. And thank you, Jess. And we will be back next trimester with some brand new topics. You might see Chloe cooking live. I would love to maybe see, this would be great, Jess skydiving in Wollongong, camera on your head, right? We can be doing the podcast and just watching you fall like 20,000 feet. That'll be great.
Oh, not sure if I want to see like a second time.
She might have to upload the recording. Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Please don't forget to subscribe to our Student Voice newsletter on Spotify and on YouTube as well, and to follow all the SRC socials. We have the Student Voice, and we also have all the individual SRCs. Please follow, join your local SRC, get in contact with your local SRC, engage with everything, and we would love to see you on campus or in an online event very, very soon. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.